Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right. Here we are in another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
You took a deep breath on that one.
I'm practicing.
For
episode number 175. We have 25 episodes and counting. I fully expect, and I'm announcing this because I'm expecting my listeners to prod me and poke me and completely push me into making some new music because they're tired of hearing the same damn entry and exit, I'm sure.
Well, I never hear it at all because I'm not there when
Exactly. Well, but it's not about you, Peter.
No.
You never want to do that. Make it about you.
Can we just share, maybe? Bill, I got two in the works.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got two. Maybe I'll come up with a third one.
Really?
Yeah.
You have lyrics?
No, I'm the music guy.
Okay.
I thought you were doing lyrics.
Yeah. I'm having trouble with that. I got the ending. I thought I had the ending. I had it last night at about 11 o'clock and when I laid down to go to bed, but I'm not sure I remember it this morning.
Like the punchline?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Here we go.
I did pull out an old poem of mine. It wasn't a happy one though.
Oh,
but it was
happy.
It was like very well received. I did a really good job on that.
Episode number 175. Let's get down to business. People don't care. They don't give a crap about our song. Dud. Real estate deals that cause you to lose. I read the description, and I got to tell you, I'm not really crazy about the description. And I got about halfway through, and I realized that the podcast is really good. So if the description doesn't razzle you, please hang in there because the podcast will. It's actually pretty cool. So here we go. Real estate rule number 1. Know your exit before you enter. Right? That's just kind of unspoken, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, but we don't talk about that much. People are running around so much looking for stuff. You might forget, where's the door? Where's the exit?
Right. Which begs the question, what if I don't know all of my possibilities to exit? What do you do? What do I do now? In order to negotiate and determine the property's highest and best value, you will want to listen to this podcast. This is no different than if you started a business, you would need some sort of a plan to provide an expectation of profit and healthy finances to leverage for growth. That was a mouthful, huh?
Say that again.
Yeah.
No.
You don't want me to say it again? Thanks, Pete. You set me up. I know in the past we have talked about analyzing deals for acquisition. We've had plenty of podcasts on that, right? But are there telltale signs you should pay attention to so you can quit while you are way ahead? See what I mean?
Oh, quit the deal, get out?
Yeah.
Just in case?
If you are truly worried about mitigating losses and maximizing profits, this episode is perfect for you. Knowing and having the ability to walk away from a deal is an investor's strongest point. Agreed?
Yeah. Well, no one's making you do it.
But if you don't have these tools, it could actually be walking away from a good deal.
Oh.
But instead losing the deal because of real estate ignorance. So what's that fine line? You know what I mean? What's a good deal and what's a bad deal?
Yeah, you threw me a curve there, but don't walk away from a good one. Oops. Right. Yeah. So how do you know?
How deep do you go in? It's kind of like when I'm fishing sometimes, right? Especially if we're down in South Carolina on Hilton Head, which we do every year. It's how far do I wade into the ocean before I feel like I'm going to get in too far, or if I'm too deep and I might get hurt like I did last year. It took me, I went fishing last year one morning and it took me 4 months to recover. Because what happened was I was so far into the water right, up to my belly, right, higher than my belly in the
Yeah.
water, and a wave came, and I jumped. I had a cigar in my mouth. That was the funniest part. I had a cigar in my mouth, and I jumped, and the wave went over my head. Now, I stayed ambulant. I stayed stood up.
Yeah.
But I pulled all the muscles in the back of my leg and didn't know it until a week later when I was having severe back pain and was like, what the hell? And I went to the chiropractor, and it's like, which I'm not a chiropractor person, so it took my kids and my wife and everybody I know at gunpoint to get me to go there, to find out that the muscles were pulled in my lower left leg, behind my shin.
Yep.
Right. To me, real estate's the same exact way. It's like, how far do you wade in, and how far do you go before you know that happened? Now, I found out way after the fact, after the wave, after the problem.
Mm-hmm. Too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's a stupid analogy, but it's one that works for me because it really happened.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do what we always do, which is becoming a new trend, which I didn't realize until I wrote this podcast. It's becoming a new trend, Peter. We're trendsetters. What is your newest saying now?
I'm a man ahead of my time.
And we're letting them think that, people. So just don't send any support tickets in and let us know.
I don't even have to give you a list. You know the list. You were saying list yesterday. Well, Pete did this ahead of his time. You got the list. I'm just going to keep adding to the list.
Stripes on your shoulder.
Stripes my shoulder. Well, I am new to the business in a way, and sometimes I just keep my eyes open. Sometimes I just try to get ahead a little bit. I got to have some added value to this.
There you go.
So
what we do is we try to start off the podcast. I try to start off the podcast with making sure we define a couple simple words.
Sure.
Right? So the people that are listening can actually know what we're talking about. So today I want to talk about dud.
Yeah.
What is a dud?
That stands for do not do. But you have to turn the N upside down.
You're shot.
I'm trying to think. What is it? I thought it stood for something. Dud.
So a dud, which I kind of think of it as, when I think of dud, here we go on the Bill's Planet again, right? When I think of dud, what was the cartoon with the Roadrunner?
Yeah. Roadrunner.
And the coyote?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How many duds did he have trying to catch the Roadrunner?
Well, they were duds for the Roadrunner, and they blew up in his face every time. Like the picture on Facebook of the pickup truck with a dent in the side with a silhouette of a coyote. You see that one?
Yeah.
Bam.
All right. So a dud, definition of a dud, is a thing that fails to work properly or otherwise unsatisfactory, sometimes worthless.
Yep.
A thing that fails to work properly or otherwise unsatisfactory, sometimes worthless. Okay, so Ron LeGrand taught me many years ago in one of his seminars, which is where I started. Okay, he taught me this, and I'm going to read it verbatim. So please do not think these are my words. These are the famous rock star, old grouchy Ron LeGrand. Okay? We got to say that because everybody knows that. He's a damn good guy, though. Here we go. Focus on the few, not the many. It matters not how many deals you do, only how much money you make. Right? So I'll read it again.
Yeah.
Focus on the few, not the many. It matters not how many deals you do, only how much money you make. Which brings me into the next guru, which is Dr. Cashflow, Nick Ciotti, who we've just recently met.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Says you don't need a lot of property, right?
Right. That's great.
If you make good money on the property you own.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd rather have one good producing one than 10 duds.
So how do you know all this, right? So there's indicators. So in this podcast, I'm going to give you some of the telltales. Okay, and this is just my own, what I think about, so you may not even agree with me, which is totally fine. If you don't agree with me, then send me what your telltales are, and we'll talk about them on the next podcast.
Yeah, it's good to know. We should have a chat about it for sure.
So a good executive, really, and we talked about this many podcasts ago, a good executive is good if he notices indicators. So if you're keeping track of gross income in the checkbook, weekly, and normally your gross income is $10,000, and this week it goes down to $9,000. That's an indicator.
Sure.
Okay. Next week it'll go down to $8,000. 3 weeks from now, it'll go down to $7,000. Those are all indicators. So the trick is to be hyper sensitive to the indicators.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which are the things that are popping up that you may not think are that serious, which are telltales. They're like little flags that are popping up that you should pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and these little flags are guiding you down a path. It could be a path of success or it could be a path of failure. Okay, and ignoring them. I mean, I don't want to talk about this because to me this is like talking about politics. But it happens a lot in relationships, right? You kind of get used to it. Okay, when I was in the car business, when I had an auto repair shop, we called them drivability problems.
In the car?
Right. So what would happen is the car would do something and it would do it consistently, and the driver would change their driving habits to compensate for the malfunction the car is having. But because most people don't understand malfunction of cars, they would continue to drive the car because it still drove. Like, for example, you drive your car with a check engine light on. It still drives fine, but you're still driving it.
Yeah.
Right? So you may change your driving habits because it may hesitate, or when you step on the gas, it may not lunge like it should. Or when you slow down, it might do something like stumble and maybe stall, and you'll restart it again. But the next time you go to a stoplight, you'll pull over to the side in case it stalls so you don't block traffic. You know what I mean? You change your habits.
Yeah.
Okay?
Is that like when my car pulls to the left? So I lean to the right?
That's right. Yeah. That's the Italian fix.
That's the Italian fix. 4 times I've had it checked. Nobody gets it right. If this continues.
So you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So those are telltales. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to prevent our listeners from changing their driving habits. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah.
So if you stick to a couple of these like ideas that I'm going to present to you, and they're not like clean cut. I've already done that with my formulas. So if you stick to the formulas, you're going to be okay. Okay, so let's jump right in, okay? So the first one, and it's number 1 for a reason. It's absolutely positively number 1. Do you get that?
It's number 1.
For a reason.
Oh, so you put it there, not
because
just...
this is absolutely the most important thing you should do in every deal. Okay? Every deal you buy or take over, because we don't always buy the deals, right?
Yeah.
You must, what should you do?
Must.
Good. Make sure the deal has equity in it the day you buy it. Now, even a slot deal doesn't have equity in it, but we know where we're going to get it.
Yeah, we add some. Right? We make some.
So we create it. So we know. But that the definition is you know where the equity is. You know how much you have. So even in a slot deal, and if you don't know what a slot deal is, go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff. Right? So let's define equity. If that's what we want, if every deal we have has equity in it, then we need to know what that is, right? You'd be surprised how many times I stand on stage and ask that question and I don't get an answer. Or I get some really confounded, really strange answers, right? So, definition of equity. The money value of a property or of an interest in the property in excess of claims or liens against it. Okay, so the money value of a property or of an interest in the property in excess of claims or liens against it.
Yep.
Okay, so pretty much it's like add up all the liens, add up all the, all the things that are against the property. Okay. And the difference is the equity.
That's what's left.
Right? So if I owe $80,000 and at the closing I get $100,000 check, how much is the equity?
20.
There you go. Unfortunately, this is a bad definition. This is like retarded to me, and no offense to the word, but it's like crazy. Okay? Because in any other business, we would call this number a profit. Right?
Yeah.
So what's the definition of a profit? I mean, I'm down a rabbit hole here, but it'll come out in a minute, right?
Yeah.
So a profit is a financial gain, especially the difference between the amount earned and the amount spent in buying, operating, or producing something.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Sure.
So a financial gain, especially the difference between the amount earned and the amount spent in buying, operating, or producing something, which is such a better definition for what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you apply this definition of profit to real estate, you'll find these telltale signs quickly. Okay.
Like what?
Here's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
If you just take the definition of equity and calculate the excess from claims or liens against the property, you'll miss things like this. Okay? And here's the reason why. Those claims or liens are against the deed.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you'll miss things like, first of all, they're hidden they're hidden in plain sight. Here's the reason why. How about and you know this because you have made comments to me about this, and you have noticed this and been frustrated at times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Things like the closing cost to buy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we just bought a piece of property and we borrowed $30,000, right?
Uh-huh.
Thinking that we were going to have extra money, and it ended up costing us an extra $5,000 because of the taxes.
Oh, yeah.
Remember? Because that town paid taxes in advance.
Mm-hmm.
So not only did we have to pay the taxes that were owed, but pay the taxes that had been collected already, but we haven't used.
Mm-hmm.
And then because we took a loan with the guy, he wanted another 6 months worth of taxes there too.
Yeah.
So it was like $7,000
Mm-hmm.
by the time we got all done.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. Next thing, and I'm not going to elaborate. I tell you, this could be half the show if I did.
Mm.
Okay? Would be the holding cost. And there's holding costs like the insurance, the property taxes,
Mm-hmm.
right? The utilities, cost of leveraging or borrowing the money.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
in our particular case, when we borrow private money, we don't pay it monthly, but we do pay it at the end of the deal.
That's right.
And it's time related. So if you're let's do some math here. Let's say you borrow $100,000 and you're paying 9%, so that's $9,000, right? 9,000. I was trying to do 90,000. I can't think what 9,000 is, too small. Should have done this before the calculator doesn't work.
We're trying to find the monthly.
Yeah, give me that other calculator, please. Thank you. So it's $750 a month.
Okay. That's the 9,000 divided by 12.
Yeah. So let's say your insurance is $200 a month, because on a vacant house that's very possible. So you got $950 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't put the taxes in there yet.
Yep.
So now let's say the taxes are another $400 a month. Okay? So there's $1,300 a month just to have the house in your name.
Yeah.
Now you put utilities and the oil bill and, all that other stuff on top of it.
Shovel the snow, cut the grass.
You're just shy of $2,000 a month, $1,800 a month.
That kind of sounds like what a house costs, doesn't it?
Wait a minute. Whoa.
Back up.
That doesn't sound so horrifying. 6 months is $12,000. So you're expecting to make a $30,000 profit, and you just sucked $12,000 right out the bottom of that deal, and you didn't even see it go. It was leaking out the sides, and you didn't even see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
How about if it's a condo, you got HOA fees. And how about maintenance? Like you're talking about cutting the grass and plowing the snow. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we got a house right now, and it's November in the Northeast, and I told my guys to go cut the grass. I mean, it's cold right now, but we're getting ready to put it on the market, and you want to make sure that, you know, the grass is trimmed up and looks good.
And there's lots of leaves and all that from the tree, so you suck it all up.
$55.
$55. Send them to my house.
Right?
Yeah.
How about renovation costs? Now, that's a big one for a lot of people, because if you don't use some of my formulas, you'll be confused on it. I mean, my wife is we were talking about this morning, my wife is having a room painted in my house by a relative. And it's twice as much, almost 2.5 times as much as if I had one of my guys do it.
Yep.
So why would I do that?
Is that a rhetorical question? 'Cause I'm not getting in the middle of that one.
Why would I do that?
Because it's your wife and her brother, sister's boyfriend, and all that stuff.
It's like my wife feels like she's creating, and for me, the extra couple $100 is like, okay, we'll have fun.
Yep.
You know, they got this whole drill. I mean, it's been literally 2 days just picking the color.
Mm-hmm. She had me looking at 2 colors. I thought it was the same ones. Which one do you like? I thought it was the same.
Yeah.
I couldn't split the hairs.
And she's telling me one is green and one is blue. But you know what?
Mm-hmm.
She cleaned the room out on her own while we were gone last week at a seminar.
Yeah.
She got people to come here, get the stuff out of there. It's like, go
I
for
walked
it,
in.
sweetheart.
What's going on?
It's worth
Who's
it.
doing that? Yeah.
Okay. But I'm going to tell you right now that the difference between us and I'll tell you what I'm trying to say. I'll tell you right now is the difference between what we have done and what she has done. The end product is no different.
Mm-hmm.
It's just preference on who you use.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And the person doing the work's perspective and how good they sell you on. Right? So I've seen renovation that are like $60,000 renovations that I could do for $20,000. Right? And what's going on? Oh, because I'm not seeing anything on the screen. Okay, so good. So once we get through renovations, right? The next thing we have to deal with is the closing cost to sell. Now, wait a minute. Didn't we talk about closing cost already? Yeah, but to buy.
That was the. Wait a minute, you got to pay coming and going?
Yeah. And people don't think of that. So that's
like that old joke. How much does it cost to get in? It's only $2, but it costs $10 to get out.
Yeah, exactly.
or you can't get out.
Right, exactly.
Now you're in Hotel California. You'll never leave. And they charge for it. Yeah. Coming and going.
See what I mean? So, I mean, even if you get it down to 6 or 8% or 10%, it's now 20% or 12%. You double it. Right?
Sure.
So you got all that. Then you got mistakes and miscellaneous, right? For unexpected money, you have to calculate that in.
Mm-hmm. Don't open up walls.
Yeah, exactly.
Every damn show on TV, like, oh man, we opened the wall and
or the floor,
look at the drain. Yeah, everything.
So when
Leave
we
the
buy
damn walls alone.
excuse me, when we buy for cash, the formula is the after renovated value. You know, once the house is fixed up, the value of it then, right? Times 70%, minus repairs, and then minus whatever wholesale money we want to make. You want to make $5,000 or $6,000 or $8,000, then you subtract that out.
Yeah, a little extra cushion.
And that leaves you with the maximum allowable offer. Now, I learned this from Ron LeGrand, and there's a couple different variations of it, but the 30%, because it's times 70%, so that means you're taking 30% out of the deal.
Yeah, right off the top, you're taking 30.
That includes all of the holding costs and some of the, the miscellaneous monies. You know?
Unforeseen mistakes, and what's left would be your profit then.
Right. So on average, and we talked about that a few weeks ago. Sorry about my throat here. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Truly, your profit is somewhere between 10 and 12% is what you should always expect on a deal. Right?
10 and 12.
Yeah. So a $200,000 house, I mean, you could say it's going to make you 15 or 20 grand net before taxes.
No, don't start that story. That's another one.
Now, does that mean that you can change it with time? In other words, instead of taking 6 months to do a renovation, do it in 3 months?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Does that mean that you could get hooked up with a good contractor like what we have done and change it that way?
Yeah.
You know,
how about negotiating a little better like you do?
Yeah. Right? So, you know, the difference between paying 7% for your money or 9% or paying 9% with points and without points, all that stuff adds up. And I understand your first few deals, you're gonna take it on the chin, and you're not gonna make a lot of money, but you're gonna get through the deal to experience it, and then you just get better.
Yeah, you might have to borrow from a hard money lender at 10% or 11%, 2-3 points, so it's a little expensive, but
so the idea is to get some quantity under your belt first, and then the quality will come later.
Yeah.
Right. So the first few deals, you're gonna get in there and screw it up. Just do it. Get it over with, and just move on. Okay. So there's one thing I want to be very, 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 very loud and clear on. Is holding cost is the disease in every deal. I just interviewed, thanks to you because you found this guy, but I just interviewed a guy yesterday on a maintenance guy for us. And one of the things I asked him was, do you do turns? Turns is slang for, in the apartment business, when somebody leaves, how fast can you go in there, get it fixed up?
Turns.
Yeah.
Like turn over the property. Yeah. I thought I heard terms. Okay. Turns, turning over the property.
TURNS.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
How fast can you get it ready to get it rented again?
That's right.
Right. So, you know, I've done a few turns and they take me 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
I know. Mine took like 2 months.
Right.
Did the kitchen, did the bathroom.
Right.
Yeah. And you're supposed to do like 2-3 days, flip them and go. He told me, and I got him from one of your guys, so it works out. We just keep asking. We keep going down a trail. But he told me some guys charge like $450 to paint and clean the rugs in a room, and he does it for half of that. Right. So that's great. He's so far, I like working with him. Haven't met him, but
point is,
he shows
you spend,
up.
You spend $1,000 or $1,500 to do a turn on an apartment. It's worth it because then you get the rent in there and you're done.
Yeah.
Now, in my particular case, my turn cost me $5,000 because I did it myself. What does that tell you? Right? It's a lesson.
You found all the guys and bit by bit?
No, I just kind of like, I'll get the painter. I'll go to Home Depot myself, and I did it in my spare time.
Yeah.
It cost me $5,000.
Yeah.
$1,500 is much better. So this is like hint.
What?
Don't do the renovations yourself because that's what happens because the same thing happens in renovations. All right. So all these environmental factors matter. Okay. Example, buying a house in the Northeast, which is where we're at in Connecticut, after October is going to eat up some cash because we need to heat it and the utilities, right? Otherwise, it'll freeze, and that'll be more money, right?
That's right.
So wouldn't that probably make some sort of an impact on my exit strategy or my numbers? Now, the numbers we give you are, by the way, rule of thumb. Doesn't mean that you can't get a little bit better of a number. What will happen to some people is they'll take this too seriously and they'll be too conservative and they won't get deals, and then they'll come back to us and say, well, we didn't buy a deal. Now, we've met a few people like that because we were just trying to wholesale a house, and they're telling us that the renovation is going to cost $70,000, $80,000. Technically, we did our renovation for about $45,000. We've spent probably $50,000 because we did a few extra things, right, which are just add-ons. Like we went in a little longer, an extra 2 weeks, because we had a bathroom on the second floor that was illegal that we made legal. So that's worth a couple weeks worth of holding costs to me.
Sure.
You know?
To add a whole bathroom to a property? Sure.
Yeah. So it was already there, but we went through the permit process. My attorney made a mistake, which I'm going to pay for. because he put on the deed how much we paid for the property, which normally we don't do. I usually put on the deed, we paid $1 on other valuable consideration, and nobody really knows what you pay, right? So later on, when you go to the bank, especially FHA, which is a government mortgage, they don't see such a huge difference. You know what I mean? So in this particular case, I was a bit nervous about that, so I took extra precaution. I made sure we pulled permits, which we do anyways, but we pulled permits for everything.
Yeah.
And we're going, tomorrow we're getting a CO, a certificate of occupancy.
Mm-hmm.
So I was extra or hypersensitive to the whole process, and I'm a little bit relaxed about the time, because if I go in there and I go bing, bang, boom, and a month later I come out and it's like all of a sudden there's a difference between what I paid and what we're collecting of $100,000, the bank's going to be like, what's wrong with this? And it provokes additional inspections, and it just makes it a little bit harder. So I'm setting up to try to prevent that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I know all that because the telltales are there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the point I'm trying to make.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This brings me to the pretty house business, right? So it brings me to pretty houses, and a great way to catch any telltales in these deals. So we've been kind of talking about renovations. So now I want to talk about the pretty houses. Okay. Money now, money monthly, money later. That's a huge formula to use. It seems so simple, but if you stick to that mantra, it'll elicit or suck out of the deal where the problems are.
I thought you were going to say where the profits are.
No.
But where the problems are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, because what's the old saying? Follow the money.
Yeah.
So we're doing that here.
Okay, I'm listening. So how's that work?
If you have to work these out in your head, you have to do that first. You have to figure out some of the strategies. And if you can't, you're in the pond of a dud.
Okay.
Right? And not only are you in the pond, but you're flailing around like someone that can't swim.
Chicken in the water.
Yeah, pretty much. Right? So I just kind of jotted down some examples for each one. Money now, money monthly, money later. If you promise too much deposit to the seller and can't get enough from your buyer when they're buying, it's a dud.
Yeah, there's no money now.
And I have to tell you that I can't emphasize this strong enough. I have some pretty damn good coaching clients. I'm really fortunate. I've got guys that have been with me for years, and they consistently do deals. You get in my coaching group and you think that the magic is me. Okay, so I'll go along with that. My ego will go along with that. But the truth is that the family that you marry into is phenomenal. I mean, these guys are really good. Just our WhatsApp group, just the conversation in the WhatsApp group and how they help one another. I mean, just the conversations yesterday were phenomenal. And I didn't even answer. I answered one. I mean, I probably answer one or two messages, and I don't need to. These guys are really good. I've trained them.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying them.
They've learned. I mean, they're your words. Sometimes I see what they say. And it's your words, like I'm standing at one of your workshops or meetups.
Yeah.
But they've learned the industry. They've learned from the lessons.
They
the courses.
all
They've
help
learned.
one another. They all help one another. There's so much support in my coaching. It's unbelievable, and that's what people are buying. And for the amount of money, I mean, we're paying for some of that stuff in another place, and oh my God, what I charge is like. I mean, what I charged for a year, it cost us almost a month in the coaching group that we're in now.
Yeah, we spent that this weekend.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm not trying to promote my coaching.
You're not raising your prices, right?
Yeah, I'm not. I've been thinking about it, but I'm not.
Not today, folks. Get in while the getting's good. Before Christmas specials.
So, my point is even these guys in the coaching group still make this mistake. It's like they'll struggle with the seller wants 10 grand down. So I'm like, okay, so the first question is where's the money now?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first question, because it's money now, money monthly, money later.
Mm-hmm.
So I start thinking, where's that money going to come from? Right?
Oh, yeah.
Where's it going to come from? How are we going to get that money? Because the deal should support itself.
Right. Because people think, well, I don't have 10 grand. You're not supposed to have 10 grand.
Right.
It's supposed to be a money-making proposition.
Right. And the buyer should bring the money to the table.
Right.
Now, if I have to go get an investor or an IRA loan, somebody has an IRA and a loan, and now I got to pay 9% on that, how am I paying that back?
Mm.
You know, it's just simple math.
Mm-hmm.
But it's thinking about it before it happens. Right?
I'm sure.
So it's a telltale. So if you're struggling with...
And now, this is after you've asked him, well, gee, what do you need it for? Do you need that much? If I can't give you 5. After you've done all that, he still needs 10.
Right.
Okay.
So here's the bottom line. Never, never, never vary from this ever, 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 ever. I'm like trying to like emphasize these words. Okay? Never do this.
Mm.
The seller does not care where you're getting the money from to pay them.
Nope.
They do not care. All they care about is getting it in their pocket or handling their problem. They do not care the repercussions or the pain or the stretching or the problems or the losses or the holding. They do not care about any of that. They just want their money. They do not care where you're getting your money from. And in a conventional world, meaning where you go to get loans from the bank and realtors and all that kind of stuff, okay, they won't let it happen. Right? So if you're trying to borrow $100,000 on a $60,000 appraised property, the bank won't let it happen.
Right. Right.
But when we're doing these creative deals and we're in somebody's house, it can happen a lot easier because as long as you guys agree and sign the documents, nobody's stopping you. Mm-hmm. The bank, that's the good thing about conventional loans, is at least you got Big Brother watching over you. But you got Big Brother watching over you.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
The sword turns the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're struggling to make the deal fluid, that's a telltale.
Mm.
Okay. Number 2.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't cash flow, and you've never heard me say this before, but I just kind of made this up based on what we do. But if you can't cash flow at least 10 or 12% of your monthly payment or your monthly income,
mm-hmm.
right? And that's just a rule of thumb, okay? That's a telltale.
Yeah. Well, 10% cash flow.
10 or 12% cash flow. So if you have a $1,700 a month mortgage, you should make $170 or $200 a month.
Yeah.
I personally don't like to do less than $200 or $250.
Sure.
Recently, you were telling me you were reading some Dave Lindahl, and he says at least $600 a building.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. If you have like a multifamily, maybe 8 units, 10 units, 600. So you have an amount that if something happens, you can fix things, pay things, that kind of thing.
That's a little low for me, but that you have to realize that with multifamilies, the magic there, and don't take my words lightly, the magic there is under one roof.
Mm-hmm.
The more you can put under one roof, the less expensive it costs to maintain it.
Yeah, if you have 6 units, you're not fixing 6 roofs.
Right.
Because you'd need 6 times 600 if that was the case to.
So it's just a lot easier to manage and to maintain.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. So if you're struggling with cash flow in the deal, right? So if you're trying to convince yourself of the deal, that's a telltale in itself.
Yeah, right there. You told me once that if you don't walk away thinking, man, I like that deal.
We're going to talk about that.
Right?
Yeah.
I suck
That's
the
one
words.
of the telltales.
I suck those words back into my brain.
You're a man.
A man ahead of my time.
Ahead of your time. See? There you go. All right.
Last folks, it's starting to ding in.
Last one is then The money later is what we've already talked about, right? It's the equity or the profit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, I want to go back to that.
But
the definition of profit now is very important because now that we've covered all that, I want to go back to that word. And the definition of profit is a financial gain, especially the difference between the amount earned and the amount spent in buying, operating, or producing something. It's such a perfect. That's so
right.
perfect.
But you know what's missing in there? The time factor.
Yeah.
Because when people talk about equity, they go, "Oh, I have $30,000 equity in my house." Like, how do you know? Because it's worth. Wait, whoa. What do you mean it's worth? How do you know it's worth?
Right.
It says so on Zillow.
Right.
Okay, does somebody offer you that money yet?
Right.
No. Then how do you know you're really gonna? So
it's like,
you only know the profit.
My father-in-law, who's 83 years old, and God bless his soul, will be sitting on the couch. He'll be, head in his chin, a chin in his chest, right? Glasses down on his nose, and look like somebody just died.
Yeah.
I said to him, and it's in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'll say, Bruce, what's the matter? Oh, bad day in the stock market yesterday.
Oh.
Bad day in the stock market. Oh, my God, we got murdered. And he doesn't do it anymore because my response is, oh, did you sell some stocks yesterday? He goes, no. I'm like, so it has a chance to recover. Well, yeah. So you didn't lose any money yet. It's just the perceived amount of money that you lost, right? It's the same thing with the houses, right? So
none of that
like
happens.
What you're saying
the
is
profit doesn't happen. The equity doesn't happen until things are sold.
Until the check hits the closing table.
How much you're getting for your car you're selling? How much,
Right.
Some things Now, if you produce a product, you sell it every day, well, then you know what the profit is for now until something else changes, costs, expenses, whatever. But otherwise, you have to wait till it's done to know what you really got.
Here's another big one. That was good. Thank you. Here's another big one. If you have to put your own money into the deal because lenders won't give you enough, or you can't get a loan, this is a big, huge, amazing, like, flag me down from outer space telltale.
But it's funny you say that. How many people do the deal in front end planning on, oh, we bought this place for $20,000 up front so we can collect $400 a month. Like, I'm thinking, ouch.
You're paying too much money. If you got to do this, you're paying too much money. And people know this. This is another major thing that you may not like, but you have to sooner or later come to terms with in your own mind. Money people are usually greedy. Anybody that has any amount of money is greedy. Let me explain that. You just recently, we were talking, you were bringing it up. So I think it was you, talking about money and how they are cheap.
They actually, I've known some pretty wealthy people one way or the other, and they respect the money. That's why they have it. Right. They're not like some musician who made $1 bazillion, bought the mansion, had 30 people in the crew, and gave everybody Cadillacs, bought pizza every day, and next thing you know, oops, it's gone. They respect the money. That's why they have it.
$5.
They kind of will.
Or
I had a landlord
whatever.
once. I paid him the rent in an envelope. He goes, "Don't give me the envelope. Just give me the check. Keep the envelope. You're wasting money. An envelope.
Yeah.
An envelope.
Yeah.
The landlord. An envelope.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
All right. So these guys can sniff blood in girls. Money people can sniff blood in the water for miles and miles around.
Are you saying they're like sharks?
Yeah. So if you have a deal, a smashing good deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll have no trouble raising funds. Which, by the way, is the number one way to get more private lenders than you need. And we're actually doing next week and my live meetup. If you go on to meetup.com and type in Flipping Houses for Rookies, you will find us there. It's meetup.com, Flipping Houses for Rookies. Next week, which is the end of November. I mean, if you're listening to this too late, then you might have missed it. But we're going to actually do a private lender workshop in the live meetup. we're going to actually go over my presentation pack on how I talk to lenders, right?
Awesome.
But the big thing is that private lenders want to be safe first.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know, right, that their money's safe, that you're reliable, right?
Mm.
They want to know that the profits are foreseeable, so that there's more value than their investment.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they want to know that there's huge confidence, right? And it will happen unbelievable when that happens. I'm like not following my script here, so let me just read the script. So, which, by the way, is the number one way to work private lenders, to get more private lenders than you need. Safe, reliable, foreseeable profits, and huge confidence. It will all happen in the main ingredients for lots of funding deals.
Mm.
Those are like the main ingredients for finding money. And so many people don't get that.
No, you always think that you tell them how much interest or profit they might make on their money, but if they're giving you like $100,000, think they're going to make 15. They're more worried about the 100 than the 15.
That's right.
Right? Like that's the bigger chunk. So you first have to reassure them they get the money back.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather have my money back than the 15 and not my money back.
Exactly.
You know, so that's the first thing.
Here's another telltale.
Mm-hmm.
Only having one potential exit strategy.
Mm.
Right? This is a huge telltale. If there is only one way to make money with the deal, and it's making you stretch to do it, and you are questioning it in the back of your mind, that's a huge indicator you should walk away. By the way, I would also like to clarify what is a telltale.
Mm-hmm.
A telltale is the seller has sold you instead of you selling the seller.
Mm-hmm. Again, the warm, fuzzy feeling isn't there.
Right. Here's an example. We just bought a $180,000 house.
Mm-hmm.
For how much?
I didn't even want to say.
People
I
won't
can't
believe
say.
us. 30 grand.
I thought it was 27.5.
It was 30 grand with the closing and everything.
Sure, with the closing and everything.
Now, it had major renovations and
But problems.
it had a clouded title.
I mean, you know,
and it
there
had a
could've
lot
been-
of holding costs.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had all this stuff, you know.
Well, the stuff that is not easy to fix. A clouded title, 3 steps behind, 2-3 steps prior.
Well, let's put it this way. Completely bragging on me, which I don't mean to do, but I can't do it any other way because it's really what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Go.
The attorney told me it was $15,000 to fix the title.
Mm-hmm.
$15,000 to
Yep.
fix the title, and it would take something like a minimum of 6 months. They wanted to do a quiet title action, which is lawyers, judges, you know, all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
Right? How long did it take me to fix it?
Well, I think when we get down to it, wasn't it a couple of 3-4 weeks, maybe?
Yeah. How much money was it?
I don't even remember. I didn't even hear.
I didn't even pay my lawyer to do it. It was part of our closing.
Yeah, I mean, there was no big bill. And I actually picked up a balance check from him 2 days ago on the balance from the money. So it was some money left over.
Right.
Yeah, well, you went back and forth. And no, that's no good. What else could we do? What else could we do? How about we do this? How about we do that?
Here's what I do is I talk to enough people that I will figure out the telltale.
Mm.
And I figured out what to do, and I instructed my attorney, and it got to a point where he wasn't doing it, which is why it took 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally said to him, either you do it, or I'm going to this other guy that I used to use before I came to him, and he'll do it for me. And he did it, and then next thing you know, miraculously in days, the title was fixed. Everybody agreed. It was a problem with a foreclosure with judges and lawyers and sellers and buyers. So there was a handful of people involved in this clouded title, this problem, right? And what I mean by clouded title is that the title insurance company would not insure it, which doesn't affect anything as far as I'm concerned, other than when I go to sell it to my end user, they're going to want title insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't provide it, then they're going to back out of the deal because they're going to be like the title insurance company be spooking them like, you shouldn't buy this because it could haunt you. And it's a 50-50 shot that anybody would even figure it out because we went deep. And he found it when we went deep.
Yeah.
We didn't even.
Well, the judge, the lawyers, the buyers, the sellers, the brokers, they all missed it.
They already had 1 or 2 closings on this property.
Yeah.
We're like later on the chain, and they all missed it.
Yeah, we could have almost just gone through the deal, but then we'd be at a closing and lose that.
Right.
Then spend a month or 2 or 3 trying
And
to
I
fix
have all
it.
that risk. I have all that risk.
No, do it
So
right.
if I'm signing my name on a loan, it's got to be like ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Point is this: when we bought this house, we didn't feel stuck. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I also had no trouble raising the money because the percentages
The
between
spread
what
was so-
what we owe and what we can get are so huge that it's like, oh, my money's safe.
Yep.
It's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just a no-brainer.
Oh, there's plenty of room.
You know, it's like buying a Mercedes
Mm-hmm.
for a Ford Escort price,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just you just can't lose.
What's the worst going to happen? You're going to sell it for a price of a Taurus,
Right. Exactly.
which they don't make anymore.
Exactly.
They don't make any cars.
All right. So let's move on because we're almost done.
Okay.
Another one is the deal exciting or boring? Which is what you were talking about. Okay. Believe it or not.
No, see, you need exciting. I'm just like happy with it. You want to
Believe
be
it or not,
excited.
this is a huge telltale, and here's why. Okay. If you're super excited about a deal, you will have a lot higher intention. Okay. Now, let me explain what I mean by intention. I think we should cover that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, intention is I ask you a question like, Peter, will you buy me lunch?
Mm-hmm.
Intention is no matter what happens, I am going to get an answer to that question.
Mm-hmm.
I burned the ships. I'm not returning. I'm gonna get an answer.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what happens. If the house blows up at the end of will you buy me lunch,
Mm-hmm.
and the house blows up, I'm going to get an answer. When I crawl out of the rubble, I'm going to ask you, Peter, so you going to buy me lunch or what?
But Bill, what about the house?
Right? You know what I mean?
Sure.
So intention is the what you expect.
Was it like the drive?
Yeah.
Like
it's the push.
Yeah. So in a house that you like, you're not going to be apologetic about it. You're not going to be half-hearted about it. When you go to sell it, this is a damn good house. This is a great deal. Buy my house.
Right.
So you're going to feel great about it.
So this is happening between you and I, which probably shouldn't talk about it here, but this happens between you and I. It's like there's the difference between you and I, which there's not a lot, but there is. I mean, obviously we're two people, but when like you're trying to deal with the bank right now, Wells Fargo on a subject to deal.
Yeah.
When I call Wells Fargo, I don't listen to what the girl tells me. I've done so many of these deals. I know that if I give her these documents, I can get what I want.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't stop until I get it done. Well, you'll call her up, and because you don't know, and because you're not as certain as I am, you'll allow her to tell you we can't do that. And then you end up with a diversion that's unnecessary. It's extra traffic.
Sure.
It's extra work. It's extra aggravation. The only difference is your intention of getting it done. That's it. So was that a good example? Because I wanted to make sure I gave a really good example.
Honestly, I think it's half a good example because in some situations, any of us won't know if it's true or not, or right or wrong. So we don't know if just pushing forward will get us there. Because I don't mind pushing forward unless I think I'm going to lose.
Okay.
Or I got
so
something
we're diverting
missing.
right now, but I'm going to tell you what made me a lot of money. Do you think I know what I'm talking about when it comes to real estate? Okay. Do you see it every day? do you believe that I have ability to make a lot of money with real estate?
Sure.
Do you want to know how I got that?
Yep.
Okay. So when I went to Ron LeGrand's training, I didn't question what he did. If he said I can buy a house on the corner of Main Street and paint it purple, that's what I did. I did not question him. I did not question it. I did not question nothing. That's the difference between you and I, because you'll question it. You think that your evaluation system's better than mine. You think that you know more than I do about evaluating, or you're not comfortable with it. That's the big one. You're not comfortable with it.
Yeah, it's now that we're on the air doing this, it's not.
Well, it's not just you. It's a lot of people.
But,
I'm not pinning this on you. This happens with a lot of people.
But we're actually trying to sort that out so we can work more smoothly, and we can both feel comfortable when it's all over.
It's intention. So listen, let me finish. Okay. So with my ex-partner taught me this. If I'm paying somebody to coach me, I'm going to do exactly what they tell me to do. Now, if it doesn't work, or if it gets a little bit weird and he's not or she's not giving me specific instructions to adjust for the not working, then I'll come up with my own solution. But I am like totally fixated and totally believe that what the coach told me is 1,000% true. And if it's not working, I must be doing something wrong. I don't take the variance or the surroundings seriously. So when I call Wells Fargo and I tell them I want to do this, what the girl tells me does not matter. We're going to do it because it's been done multiple times and there's something that she doesn't understand. So I would move to another attendant, or I would hang up. I would call another one. I would find a way to make what I have been taught work. I would not stop. There is no barrier, and my intention is to 100% get it done. No variations, no back off, no bullshit. It's done. That's what's gotten me to where I am right now. That one thing, intention. I don't listen to the voice in my head. I don't think to myself, oh, it doesn't work, or oh, I have a consideration, or oh, I have to feel good about this, or oh, if it's uncomfortable, screw it. I'm going to be uncomfortable because somebody else has done it. That's probably where the fortune is right on the other side of that uncomfortable, because had I been comfortable with it, I would have done it already. I wouldn't have needed to coach, and I would have known what's on the other side of uncomfortable. And too many people think that their evaluation system and what they think is superior to what is being done, and that their considerations or thoughts or their evaluating of the information is better than everybody else's. They think they know it already. That there are no best, right? Or they think they know best. And I'm telling you that that's intention. So if you're super excited about a deal and you have a higher intention on bringing it to a profit, just like what I'm talking about, right? If you have that tenacious, no matter what, it's going to happen. And I'm not talking about a bad deal. I'm talking about one that mathematically makes sense, okay? You'll shed all the obstacles, right? And it'll show up right at your front door. It'll just land right where you want it. And yeah, you'll get noise. Yeah, you'll get pushback. Yeah, you'll get the naysayers telling you it can't be done. But I'm going to tell you, in my world, and you know this because I've told this to you, the more people that tell me it can't be done, the more I know I'm right, because that's herd think. That's herd mentality. That's group think. And you can't follow group think. And if you think you can, just go into any committee trying to make a decision. If you got a committee at church or a committee at work, or committees don't make decisions. There's too many opinions. One person has to rise above the committee or rise above the group and make that decision. Otherwise, it's annoying. Look at the damn Democratic Party right now. There's not one person that's strong enough to stand up and say, this is what I'm doing, right?
Yep.
And they're mocking the Republican Party because at least President Trump has the balls to stand up and say, this is what I'm doing. Right, wrong, or indifferent. He's making the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
That's the difference between the two parties right now.
Yeah, and they're infighting. They're starting to eat each other.
Right. All right. If there is not a lot of reward in the deal, get that? If there's not a lot of reward in the deal, after a while, you'll stop trying so hard. See, in the beginning, when you have this intention, you're going to go through there, you believe there's a lot of reward, right? And you want the reward. So you're willing to put up with the obstacles to overcome the obstacles to get the reward. If there's too much obstacle and you let it beat you down, then you'll end up with a failed purpose or a failed profit or a failed intention, right? And it'll push you down, right? And it'll make it so that you have less horsepower. You'll start doubting yourself, saying, I can't do this. No, what happened was your intention, your belief, your total affirmation that this is going to happen is what got jeopardized. It got invaded by others that can't think the way the coach can or the person that's done it. See, do I have total certainty on doing every deal? When I give you answers to questions, do I have total certainty?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And 99% of the time, do I have a story to tell you about why I'm making that decision?
Yeah.
Because that's why I have certainty. It's because I have the experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get all that experience on my own. Some of that experience, I had to listen to my coach. I had to listen to other people tell me their experiences, but I had to believe them. Right? Unconditionally. Right?
Well, if they're successful, why not? Right?
Exactly.
Because if you listen to the other guys or somebody who says no or it can't be done, ask yourself the question, are they successful? Or are they like, I did it once and it didn't work? Well, maybe not listen to that guy.
Right. So when I say you have to be excited about the deal or boring, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the intention and how much are you going to go into this deal and how much you're going to tolerate. You know, like I have this trouble down at the church, right? That you want to irritate me. You can send me an email. You can say this to me, and I will go immediately from the most calmest person in the world internally to a raving lunatic by doing this.
What?
I'm just here to help.
Wait a minute.
I'm just here to help.
Who's saying that? Somebody?
I have run into this down at the church. I'm just here to help.
And what's wrong with that?
Here's the problem. When you say I'm just here to help, they think, well, if they just show up and they're there, that's help. They will not execute the final product because they're just there to help. It's a dilettante way of getting the product. So at any given time when it gets pressure or it gets thick, they duck. They disappear. I'm just here to help. Well, I have helped you. You know, I helped you set up the event the other day. Yeah, but the event's got to be taken down. Oh, I got to go. I helped earlier. and they feel like they've helped. But the problem is when somebody say, I want to help, they want to help what? They want to help go across the finish line? Or do they just want to put gas in your car so you can get another lap? Right? So
I think I've been there.
Yeah. It's a funny thing, but when you're in your deal, and I'm ranting on this way too long because I'm telling you this is huge, 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 huge. So when I talk about an episode number 90, the real estate mafia, I'm just here to help. Help what? Get their commission?
Yeah.
I'm just here to help you make the deal. It's a covert intention. Covert meaning hidden. It's a hidden intention. it's counterproductive to what you're trying to get done, because they're not really there to help you or help you get across the finish line. They're there to get their fee. So in a real estate deal, there are many people that want to help, or they think they're doing their part, but they could be counterproductive. And the majority of them, believe it or not, in my world, are realtors and attorneys or closing agents. Because they have their way of doing things, their automaticities, their normals or their normal trends that don't necessarily line up with what you're doing. So you have to push through that with intention, with the horsepower. You know, horsepower is like, does my car have 10 horsepower or 500 horsepower? Do you see the difference?
Hell yeah.
How am I going to get through this? So when it's time for me to hit the gas and push through the race, am I going to have the energy to do it? I could talk about this for an entire day in a workshop. This is so vital. The indicator, in other words, the symptom of the disease, the symptom of the disease, which is what an indicator is, right? Is it exciting or is it boring? That's like the tip of the iceberg. Because when I watch my coaching clients kind of willy-nilly their way through a deal, and I dig into it, I find that there's some failed purposes from another deal there in the past, and they have to be rekindled. Or they don't. Their wife is telling them that they've spent $10,000 and it's time for them to start making some money. So now every little minuscule little thing is like significant, and we have to make sure we measure it to, am I making money? Right? Or there's some concept of what they've been doing. They read online a different perspective of what somebody did and didn't do it correctly and gave a poor review of that action. Or something happened that shouldn't have happened. I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to get off of this. I'm going to tell you what happens to me. When we talk about last podcast, which was 174, we talked about objection stalls and resistance that you get from your seller that hold you back from closing deals. Right?
Right.
I got support tickets up the yin yang on that one.
Really?
Okay. And I will tell you, the most amazing thing happens, because the investor manufactures objection stalls and resistance that he thinks he's going to hear or she's going to hear. And then will ask me, how do you handle this comment? And that's what it is. It's a comment. It's not an origination. It's a comment.
Yeah.
It's a misdirector more than anything else. Okay. One for one, when I ask, did a seller tell you that?
You're kidding me.
They say no. Because I've sat in so many sellers' houses, I know what the common objections are. So when they give me this totally freaking unbelievable, like, detailed, sellers don't do that.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'll bet you that's 50 to 60% of my problem.
Yeah.
When I'm trying to teach somebody, is they have their own ideas of what they might run into.
Yep.
Because the definition of you don't know what you don't know simply means that you are not aware of the obstacles ahead. They're completely not on your radar, and you're going to hit them, and they're going to be a surprise to you. That's, I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
Yeah.
You're going to get whacked with surprises. Okay?
Yeah.
You need to have your intention in to get through that wall. That wall of fire. You need to have your intention in. You have to be 1,000% certain yourself that no matter what, I'm doing it. And if they try to shoot me and blow me up and burn me and try to kill me, I'm going to get it. That's intention.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's out, the deal will look exciting or boring. I've made a total breakfast out of this because I'm telling you, this is a huge telltale and indicator.
Mm-hmm.
How about, we're going to move on. I'm done with my rant.
Let's everybody thank Bill for that.
Yeah, I don't know if I need to be thanked, but that's how I feel about it. And it's not my opinion. This is from teaching hundreds of students over the last 20 years. And it's one for one every time, because as soon as the intention goes out, I can almost predict to the week of when they're going to drop out of the coaching group.
Oh.
When I spot it,
Yeah.
I can predict to the week of when they're going to say, send me in, which doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen.
Sure.
Right? All right. Next, the proverbial concrete shoes that will sink you. That's what we just talked about.
Yep.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The proverbial concrete. If you don't have what I've just ranted about for the last 10 minutes
Okay.
it's like putting on concrete shoes.
Got it.
Okay?
Yep.
Lastly, is the opportunity you are looking at, do you have any familiarity with it or experience or expertise in it? Right? Example, you have this office, which I have one as a coaching client. I have an office clerk girl who will remain nameless. And that's what she does. She's very well dressed and very well mannered and very studious, right? Is that a girl that's going to do a renovation first? Right? Does she have experience with that? Does she have any? Now, I'm not saying she can't get that. I'm just saying that when you're looking at a deal in present time, right now, do I have the mental resources to create the least amount of barriers possible? That's my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Do I have the mental resources, the faculties of getting through this deal without having to go figure it out every turn? So when the contractor tells her that the plumbing should be PEX instead of lead or copper, she doesn't have to go figure out what those words are. PEX is plastic, lead is lead, copper's copper. What's the difference? Absolutely none. As far as the end product goes. But as far as how much it costs and how long it takes the plumber to do it, the PEX is much easier. Lead is much harder. It's more time consuming and more work, but that's just experience.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, again, I'm not telling you that you need to not learn this, but you should probably get a little bit of that education before you do that type of deal. So this girl should, and I'm not talking about a specific girl, this mocked up person I'm talking about, right? Should start with a slot deal or a lease option or deal with pretty houses.
Yeah, pretty houses at least, because that's a real jump from office clerk to contractor, and TV doesn't help.
Why should she do that? Because if she's an office person, I mean, she's probably good with a computer. She's good with administration work. She's good with doing all that kind of stuff, which is what a majority of a slot deal or a lease option is. It's all the paperwork. And yeah, so you got to show the house so she could look pretty.
Yep.
Right? And no disrespect to that. It's not like I'm being a womanizer or nothing like that. But she should look like she normally does, like she's going to work. And she should go out and show the house. And she should talk to people, which she's probably good at, and organize the thing, because that's probably what she's good at. So start there. Get a few deals under your belt. While you're doing those deals, if you're one of my coaching clients, you can watch my renovation or go buy my renovation course and at least get familiar with how it could be. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? So,
people see, all the TV shows, and that's the only thing they know, and they want to go from 0 to 90 in one step. Maybe not.
So I'm going to say something right now, Peter, that as far as I'm concerned, should change the lives of our listeners. And I am not joking. I am down outright serious.
Yeah.
This should change the life. If you actually truly do what I'm about to tell you to do right now, you, me, everybody listening, your life will change for the better.
Mm-hmm.
You will become a huge success. Ready?
Ready?
Focus on the deals that make you money. Focus on the deals that make you money. Where does money come from? As far as I'm concerned, thin air. Money comes from your ideas. Money comes from your experience. Money comes from what you think. If you think you have a lot of debt and that's what your attention is on, guess what you're going to get? A whole lot more debt.
That's true.
If you think that you're Superman and you can jump off of a building, guess what you're going to try to do? Right?
Yeah. Could
People have done it.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, be careful on that one.
Your thoughts control your universe. If you don't like your surroundings, change your thoughts. Okay? Focus on the deals that make you money. So if you align the deals with your own thoughts, what you want, and you align the deals with your experience and your intention and what passion you have and why you're doing it, you'll make more money. Because you'll go back to what I was just talking about, your intention, and you'll be excited about the deal, and you'll be happy. You'll feel like the minuscule steps you're taking are getting you closer to the big step, and that's true happiness. Overcoming the obstacles of the deal is true happiness. Not getting the end result. Because if you get the big fat check and you make $40,000, yeah, that's pretty exciting. But I'm going to tell you right now, that lasts maybe a week. Or maybe you put that money in your checking account and you're like, oh, I got an extra $40,000 in my checkbook, and you feel fat and happy. I'm going to tell you, after a while, that 40 grand is going to whittle away, and you're not going to have it, and you're going to get to the end, and you're going to be like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I remember the first fat check I put in, and how did it feel? Like, actually, like I wrote numbers on I wrote my name on a piece of paper, handed it to somebody, I walked out. Nothing really had changed. I drove the same car away, went home to the same home, same life. Right. Now, it's not that it won't change in the future, but just that alone doesn't change your life.
Right.
Pay some bills, do this. Keep going, you might get somewhere.
Right.
But it's not magic. You make your life magic.
Totally. All right, so this brings me to another telltale, okay? If you're signing for loans personally, okay, you have to have multiple exit strategies. You can't just have one.
Mm-hmm.
Like our $180,000 deal.
Yep.
That we paid $30 grand for. Right?
Yeah, even though it was a renovation, we had the option of wholesaling it because the way it was purchased, or selling it, renovating and selling
That's
it.
worth your signature on the dotted line.
Yeah.
Because the risk is like so low that it's not worth it.
Yep.
Okay. But if it's $180,000 after renovated value and needs $80,000 in repairs, don't sign a loan for $100 grand to buy the house. Right?
Nope.
Because then you got to spend the $80 grand, and where's your profit? Where's your upside? Where's the value added? Okay. And that's another one I didn't even put here. Telltale. Is there what is the value added? I'm going to give you a quick. We're at the end of the podcast and we're way over time, but just to give you a quick analogy of that, when we do options, that's not much different than the way a realtor sells a property, except we don't have to be regulated by the realtors because an option gives us a part ownership in the deal.
Mm-hmm.
With a realtor, they sign a contract and they charge fees, and there's a whole bunch of rules and regulations to do it that way. But the actual process of selling the house is not much different. So if you don't have an added value feature in an option agreement, it's not going to sell. I mean, if the realtor can't get $180,000, what makes you think you can get $180,000? If they've already put it on the MLS and then it's an expired listing and your owner's convinced they should get $180,000 and the realtor couldn't do it, the realtor's already brought it to the market.
Sure. There's no secret market in the corner anywhere.
Right. So you have to really take a look at every deal, like what is the added value that I'm bringing to this deal? And if you can't specifically name one, or if you can't pinpoint one, or if you can't isolate one in your head that it's so valuable, which, by the way, who decides if it's valuable?
The buyer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's going to pay for it?
Buyer.
Right?
Yeah.
Dan Kennedy, God bless his soul, because I think he's extremely ill right now. I just went and bought a bunch of his books because I think that's going to come pretty soon, that news that he's not doing so well.
Yeah.
Dan Kennedy, God bless him, says, my votes of what I do always come from the guy that writes me checks.
Right.
He doesn't, because he's a copywriter.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have I'll spend 4 days writing a piece of copy and I'll read it to my wife and she's like, it's okay. Well, she's not the person writing me a check.
Right.
Believe me, after 20 years, I've been trying to get her to write me some checks and she doesn't do it. Okay? The person that writes you a check or the person that gives you your money is the person that believes you have value because they're exchanging their hard-earned money for whatever you have. So that means whatever you have. So if I have this pen and I give it to you and you give me $10, that means that the $10 is less valuable to you than the pen. The pen's more valuable to you because you gave me $10 for it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the definition of value. Right? So if you're going to create value, it has to be what the buyer is willing to give you. And there's many times where I'll get into a deal and I'll know that I have a way to create value in the deal that somebody hasn't thought about or doesn't know how to do. For example, we just talked about it earlier, the house that we just bought for $30,000 that's normally $100,000. I had added value on unclouding that title.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I didn't talk about it. Did I brag about it or boast about it? No, my intention was to get that thing closed so I could fix the title. Mm-hmm. So much so that my attorney blatantly said you should not close on this deal. Mm. And I told him, thank you very much, close Friday. He said, okay.
Yep.
That is what I'm talking intention, because I knew I could fix it. Mm-hmm. And then by the time we got to Friday, he started coming around my way of thinking.
Yeah, the ship has landed, so you have to.
All of a sudden, because my intention and my confidence was so high, he all of a sudden started looking at things that he normally wouldn't look at and was like, oh my God, yeah, we can do this. And that is huge.
Yeah, the important thing there for the listeners, is when you're negotiating a house, you are buying it based on problems that they have, and solving those is how we make the money. That's how you make your money. So when there's a big problem like that, it gets you a deeper discount in the property because it's hard to do.
The value of you solving their problem is worth more to them than the equity, which is why they give you the equity.
Yeah. They're paying you for it. So look for, plumbers fix problems, electricians fix problems, the barbers cut your hair because it doesn't look right. That's what people do. They make things better somehow. Sometimes it's a bad problem,
right.
So it costs more.
Right.
It's not a lot. It's just, cut my hair.
Awesome. Thank you for listening to us today. Please, 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 go give us reviews. If you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, top right-hand side, it says podcast. If you go there, there's a link that you can go give us some iTunes reviews. That's where I look. There's so many different places people listen to this. There's iHeartRadio and Stitcher and all these other places, Google Play, that we are on and there because we syndicate pretty well. But iTunes is where I look. I'm trying to get ranked in iTunes, so if you can go there, I would love it. If not, just go give us reviews wherever you listen to our podcast. And I know you do. We totally appreciate that. And it doesn't have to be good, doesn't have to be bad. Just go give us a review. As you notice, our podcast has changed considerably recently, and it's because of the reviews and what people are asking for. If we're going to do this, if I'm going to spend 4 or 5 hours a week doing this, I want to create value, which is what we were just talking about.
That's right.
Lastly, If you are in need of help, you should go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. Top right-hand side, it says, there's a link there that says free stuff. There's a lot of stuff there. There's videos. There's 8 or 10 videos that you could watch that are 15, 20 minutes each. Talks about all the deal structures that I do. We've added a few new videos the last couple of weeks since the last meetup. So if you haven't been to that page in a while, you should go there because we're always adding things there. Every month we try to add something to it. So there's a bunch of free stuff. There's a bunch of documents. There's forms there. There's for sale by owner scripts. There's lease option explain documents you can give your sellers. There's just a whole bunch of stuff there. So go over there to flippinghousesforrookies.com, and top right hand side says free stuff. Okay. Thanks for being with us. Over and out.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.